COE. And then
All right, it's 5:30.
we're very close.
Everybody ready?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, this is City of Avondale Estates Board of Mayor Commissioners. This is our regular meeting. It is February 11th, 2026. It's 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have an agenda before us. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So move.
That was Mike, light a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner comments. We'll start down there with Commissioner Stedman.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I did listen to the minutes on the recording. And I want to congratulate the staff for getting the bronze certification. That's great. Go staff. But I guess that's all at the moment. I had a vacation that I had planned before I planned to be up here. So that's where I was.
Good.
Nothing other than on the way in, I fantasized of what it would be like to have an outdoor meeting on a beautiful day like today.
Commissioner Chasson agreed.
Maybe we can have a new city hall with a retractable roof or something. I'm sure that would be cheap. All right.
Nothing really here. Yeah, thanks to everybody for coming today. That's all I have.
Yeah, I'll continue the trend. Not much from me. Thank you all for coming tonight. That's it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Is everybody enjoying the Olympics?
Yes.
Are you an Olympics fan? I am. No, it's great. Proud of the athletes. So I really have nothing. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Manager, you got any comments? Okay.
Yes, back straight.
Okay.
All right. First up is, we have a little special event coming up Friday. Galentine's Day, Friday, February the 13th. It is excuse me, 20 women-owned businesses in the city have come together to offer a day of workshops, exclusive menus, specialty drinks, and amazing deals all around town. Gather up the girls and look out for the heart-shaped balloons outside of storefronts to join the celebration. This is a DDA sponsored event. In other good news, for the 42nd consecutive year, the city has been named a Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation. The city also kept its streak alive, being named the recipient of its 16th straight Growth Award for its commitment to effective urban forest management. There are 133 street cities in Georgia and more than 3,500 in the country. Avondale Estates is one of the 3 oldest tree cities in the state.
Cool.
And to that, I would like to welcome everybody to help celebrate Arbor Day with us on Friday, February the 20th at 2 p.m. In collaboration with the Avondale Estates Garden Club, the city will plant an American hornbeam at Lanier Gardens with an address of 2699 East College Avenue. Free saplings will be available as always. February is a great time to plant a tree, so consider adding one to your yard to add to the city's wonderful tree canopy. I also want to congratulate our community for their participation in our Centennial Celebration Survey. We had 156 respondents. So thanks to everybody who responded and provided their thoughts. We were given so many great ideas. Please stay tuned for more details on the organizing committee in the coming months.
All right. Thank you. It's a lot. Appreciate that. Okay. All good up here?
All good.
Okay. Okay. Item number 4. We have before us the meeting minutes of the January 28th, 2026 regular meeting and the January 28th, 2026 work session. Do I have a motion to engross the minutes?
So moved.
That was Louis. Light a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. First up, we have an Arbor Day proclamation, which I will read. All right. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. And whereas this day, now known as Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in the state of Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the United States and the world, and whereas trees reduce erosion of our topsoil, reduce heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource that provide wood, paper, fuel, and beauty. Now therefore, I, Jonathan Elmore, Mayor of the City of Avondale Estates, Georgia, do hereby proclaim February 20th, 2026 as the 153rd anniversary celebration of Arbor Day, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands on this 11th day of February 2026. So, is someone here?
Photo up.
All right, everybody. Bring it on down.
Since I'm now one, yes, you're going.
You guys smile and take.
Say tree.
Tree. Thank you. There you go. Thank you for being here.
I just had a couple things I wanted to say.
Oh, sure.
If it's okay.
Absolutely. And you can use the,
Thank you.
Kind of feel funny
Okay.
having my back to everybody, but I just did want to invite everybody. I know it's a city event, but we put in our budget each year money to buy a tree to be planted for the Arbor Day celebration. And we always try to commemorate it in the honor of or in memory of someone.
Mhm.
So this year it will be in memory of Mrs. Sheila Biggs. She was a longtime resident of Avondale Estate. She raised her kids here. She passed away the end of January and she
Mm.
was 102 years old.
Wow.
So we invite everybody to join us. It's going to be nice. Well, hopefully it won't be as cold as it has been in years past, but you never know. But it's a wonderful thing and we love planting trees.
well, thank you for everything you do. Okay. All right. Go to the item. Okay. First item to vote on, item number 6. We have before us an ordinance of the City of Avondale Estates to establish a non-exclusive franchise agreement between the City of Avondale Estates, Georgia and Google Fiber Georgia LLC for the installation of network facilities in the city public right-of-way. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was Louis. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Graham. Mr. Manager, anything to add or?
No, if y'all are comfortable with all of the questions you had that were addressed at the first reading of this ordinance at the previous meeting, then I don't have any additional.
Okay. Any questions, comments up here? Commissioner Stedman.
That's quite all right.
Well, I'll try to be formal.
Anyway, yeah, I was just wondering about, having the cable underground. I think what we're allowing is for them to do it underground in parts and overground where there's already existing. Is that correct?
The distinction there is that if they aren't able to use existing infrastructure, then they would be able to bury lines underground. However, their intent is to use existing infrastructure and not have.
And that would be all above ground?
Correct.
Anyone else up here?
Just to note, it's mostly using telephone poles that are already in existence.
Yes,
That's the
correct.
infrastructure they're referring
Yes.
to. Yeah.
Where basically, the same infrastructure that competitive services are using to provide.
Right. They all put it on
A
the same
similar
line.
product.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
I'll go up here. Questions, comments out there? None online? All right. I would like to bring it back for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5. All right, Item number 7, we have before us a local comprehensive plan update assistance memorandum of agreement with the Atlanta Regional Commission for assistance with the local comprehensive plan. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was Graham. Do I have a second? That was Lyda. Anything to add?
Not unless y'all have any additional questions from the previous discussion.
No, I just would like to say thank you to the ARC for assisting us with this plan. I mean, we have to do it, but I would like to think that when we do these things, we actually utilize them and as planning documents and to guide what we do. So just thanks to ARC. Any other comments up here, questions? Lyla?
Well, I just wanted to say that this is a very important process that we're going for, and it's going to find how the city develops and you know, what we decide for our future. And I just want us to be sure that we include as many of the stakeholders in the city as we can, and that we have plenty of opportunity to for all to be included in the process. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of community outreach to get people to be participating in this process. It's so important.
Anyone else? Right.
I'm good.
Any questions, comments out there? None online. Okay, I'd like to bring it back for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was 5. Okay, public comment. Bill.
Bill over 89 Berkeley Road. I've been mostly enjoying driving through our community. Did this road diet, very nearly complete. And it struck me, while I was doing that recently, that the road diet is better defining the limits of our city. I guess I would say, and was wondering along those lines if any additional progress had been made in trying to get the entire city limits area under one zip code, because I know that had come up, you know, a couple of years ago, and some, you know, efforts we've made. And I wondered if there was any progress on that, or if a definite no had come back. Thank you.
I don't know.
I can speak to it. That is not a decision that we have any control over. What we have asked in the past is those properties that have been annexed into the city with the 30030 zip code that are still listed as having a Decatur, Georgia zip code, if that were to be changed to the name Avondale Estates. And the post office said they would take that under advisement. But that it's difficult to change those things for mail routing purposes.
Yeah, it's big metro area, lots of cities. It's, you know, anyway. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none online. Any closing thoughts up here?
Yeah, I mean, I will just say, I reached back to the road diet and how it defines a city. It really just is visually appealing. It's just such a improvement, and I appreciate everybody just bearing with us while we did all these much needed improvements. And I really feel like the traffic is flowing better than it has before, or than I certainly expected. So, but it looks great. I'm so happy that we're here. So
Are we going to have a ceremonial ribbon cutting across the road at some point?
yeah, now we're talking.
Open it up.
I want to,
Yes, we are in the process of planning a
Cool.
celebration
Great.
of the completion of the
Awesome.
project.
Good. Everybody deserves to celebrate that.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
And I think it's once everything starts to leaf out and, you know, it's going to be pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
I think you'll really get the full impact of it. But anyway, thanks for everything. Thanks for your patience on that one. Okay. Seeing no other comment, I'd like to bring it back up here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That was Lyda. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Mike. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Everybody good? Yep. Okay, we'll just move right along. Oh.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to remind you about the recommended change to the work session.
Yes. Okay. All right. This is the City of Avondale Estates Board of Mayor Commissioners work session. It is now 5:45. It is February 11th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we begin, I would like to make a motion to remove item number 4 from the agenda at the request of the donor.
So moved.
All right, that was Louis. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's Lyda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have before us an agenda as amended. Do I have a motion to adopt? To
So moved.
adopt. That was Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Lyda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So we only have one item for our discussion, and that's about the public meeting process. Mr. Manager, did you want to add anything, or is there anything tee up from you on the public meeting process?
No.
Okay.
That, item as placed on the agenda tonight is an opportunity for you guys to further discuss the matter.
Right.
With the rationale that, Commissioner Stedman was unable to
Yeah.
participate in the previous work session discussion.
Okay. And since we all talked about it before, Commissioner Stebbins?
Okay, this is an issue that's very important to me. And I kind of prepared stuff. I'm going to try to talk, but I may have to refer a lot. But I want to be very clear that I'm opposed to any further reduction in hearing from our citizens. I strongly believe that the business of this city must remain clear and understandable to the people that we serve. As the Georgia Constitution reminds us, all government of right originates with the people. Public officers are trustees and servants of the people and are at all times amenable to them. That is the foundation of why we hold public meetings in the first place. Georgia Open Meetings Act is also clear that the affairs of government are intended to be conducted in the open so that the public may remain informed about the actions and deliberations of the local government. Sometimes that means residents need an opportunity not only to speak, but to seek clarification so they can fully understand the issues before us. Limiting public comment has been discussed a number of times over the past several years. During that time, most meetings have been attended by a relatively small number of people. Whether that low attendance is a function of consolidating meetings or moving a start time to 5:30, I do not believe the current concerns over public comment are justified. That said, I do believe we have an opportunity to improve how we engage with one another and with the public. Prior to 2021, we held 2 distinct monthly meetings, a dedicated work session for deliberation and discussion of the issues, and a separate regular work session for formal action. In 2021, the city combined those meetings and moved them from 6:30 to 5:30. While that change may have been intended to improve efficiency, I believe it has had unintended consequences. Combining the meetings has increasingly caused the work session to feel like just another formal meeting rather than a true work session, where the board and staff can sit together around a table, as Graham had mentioned in the meeting, and ask questions and fully discuss the issues before decisions are made for the benefit of the public. These compressed meetings, residents lose the opportunity to follow the full decision-making process and understand how major decisions are being shaped. We're a small city, and our meeting structure should support real access and understanding, not just procedural compliance. I understand there was a suggestion to increase commissioner chats to give residents an opportunity to speak with commissioners While I believe informal conversations with residents are valuable, they cannot be a substitute for transparent discussion and accountability in our public meetings, where all members are present and the public business is discussed. We should be guided by what best serves our residents, not the legal minimum. Work sessions and regular meetings serve different purposes. For that reason, I support returning to separate work sessions and regular meetings, and I support allowing public comment and clarification at appropriate points in both. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll chime in.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I totally agree. We're servants to the people. We're certainly not suggesting that we do anything that's not out in the open. Or take away opportunity to seek clarification. I have a couple of elements in the meetings that I would like to see tightened up for lack of a better word. I think having public comment at the beginning of the meeting, following commissioner comments, would, set the stage that we're here, we're listening. I'd like people to come to the podium, speak into the microphone, because we have people at home that are listening. You're addressing the five of us, and not the other members of the public. I don't have an opinion right now on separating these two meetings. I'll have to give that some thought. But I do, I think adding in some things like a mandatory break between our regular meeting and our work session will allow for conversation. It's not, for me, I've said this a couple of times, I cannot have a conversation from here with someone, with you guys out there. It's just, number one, it's just not an even playing field. Number two, it's uncomfortable. I want to make sure that everything I say from this seat is correct and accurate. If I'm having a conversation during the break and I make a mistake, I can correct myself, a little better, because I can ask somebody and say, hey, is this right? So that, that's how I feel about that. I like the idea of having commissioner chats at a more, at a regular schedule and more frequency, with a variety of the people from the city, not just me and another commissioner, but it could be me and city manager, myself, and whoever else. And not just me, it could be the mayor and the city manager. You guys get it. Because I think that's when real understanding and learning can come into play in a more relaxed environment. I really believe that these meetings are for the business of the city, and it's for us to be here and to do the business of the city. And there's some formality with that. And I feel like our public comments, when they come in, there needs to be some formality with those as well. I am much more in tune with a resident that gives me a prepared, thoughtful comment than I am with a reactive comment. And I've said it before, and I think that's public comment is a time for any stakeholder in our community to come before us, say what they need to say, without being interrupted, without being cut off, except by a time limit. And I do believe we need a time limit on public comment. And I'm not exactly sure what that time limit should be, but I think in the effort of equality and treating everyone equally, we need to have a time limit so that you have a certain amount of time. I know you have a certain amount of time, and you can get what you need to say said at that point. Okay. Sorry, I'm being so long-winded. I want to move on to the work session. I would love to move it to the table. I think the work session is a time for the board and the city staff to sit at a table and get the work of the city done. And that means having a conversation. And I agree with you, Commissioner Stedman, having the work session as we have it now feels like just another regular meeting. And it's not so easy to have discussion when I have to turn my chair. And if I'm looking at you, I can't look at you. And if I'm looking, if I'm trying to talk to city staff and get an answer from them all the way across the room is not how I like to work. That's just me. And I do think that, the work session is for us. It is for us to work through our issues that are facing us. And I did suggest last week that we not have public comment during the work session. And so I had a conversation with the resident following our meeting last week, and it made me think, and, she had mentioned that, sometimes things come up in the work session wherein a thought or an idea or a question needs to be brought up, and a resident might feel, I need to bring this up. So I thought about that, talked it over with city staff, and my recommendation there is, number one, I agree, that does happen. You may hear something at our work session that piques your interest, and you want to give a comment. So, I think in that situation, very similar to public comment during the regular meeting, those questions, those concerns are for the five of us. And in doing, and that is the audience for the question. And so I think we should have a comment card, something where you can jot your question down, leave it with the city clerk, leave it in a box out front if we set something like that up. And city staff has assured me they can distribute those the following morning, and we can all read them. And then I did have an email today that said, well, we don't know, we want, maybe it should be spoken so that the speaker knows that everybody heard them. And I thought about that, and I said, well, I can't guarantee you guys are listening to me right now. I mean, I've gone on a while here. So I can't say for certain everybody's going to read their email or read their work session comments from the night before, but I can tell you that I think we all do. We all read our emails. We all read what the city distributes to us. We all care deeply about the comments that you guys bring to us. So, I would just like to see us tighten it up a little bit. I know that we are a small town, and I think I counted it up. If we have 2 items on the agenda, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities for someone to speak their opinions. Not to mention the fact that you all have our phone numbers, our addresses, our emails. You can probably text any of us too if you wanted to. So I really don't think we're limiting, by defining these changes, I don't think we're limiting public engagement, and I don't think it's an inappropriate measure to take or codify in our policy, so that we all know, we're all on the same page. I'm sorry that I talked so long, so I'm going to stop now because I could probably keep going, but I'll stop.
2 demerits.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, but thank you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, well, Louis, Mike.
Okay, just reaching back to your comment, Lida, about when the meetings were split, were they bi-weekly, a bi-weekly?
21, we had a work session. I believe it was on a Wednesday, and then a week and a half later on Monday. So there was almost 2 weeks between the 2 meetings, but there was a separate dedicated work session, and this had been going on for decades. And then we had a regular meeting, and that was, dealt with the business, voting on things and reading, proclamations and that sort of thing. And I feel like that when we had those dedicated work sessions, sitting at the table around, each other, that we could get into more depth about what these issues are, how we each think about them, so that basically the public can see the sausage being made, that they have a better understanding of, how we're working through the process. And I think that's the way work sessions should be. And I don't think you can do that when you stack it with a regular meeting. I think that, you know, we've lost some of the, ability for that exchange in having, you know, it here and also not having it separate. I think we've, you know, put too much, not tonight, but sometimes, you know, there's just too much for one night between the work session and, the regular meeting. So that's why.
So were there two work sessions and two
No,
regulars per
One
month?
work session and one regular meeting.
Okay, so
So
still
basically
two-
what happened was you did both on the two nights that were separate. So I think maybe, I don't know, Jonathan could speak to this better, but I think the idea was to be able to move things along faster, but I don't know that that's always the best option. In the past, if we had a reason to move something along faster, we would call a special call meeting. Whether, you know, I mean, I think it's flexible. I think one dedicated work session, if you want to keep two meetings, you know, that's one option, or if you want to do one of each, but I do think the work session would be far more beneficial to us and to the public to have it separate and at the table where we can work with the staff and each other, and the residents can listen. And I think that allowing comments at the end of the work session when we are completely through, I don't see a problem with that. I think that's a positive thing. And, you know, I also think that asking questions, I know sometimes people feel like, well, we don't have the answer, and that's okay, you know, but a lot of times people just want clarification of something that was said when they ask a question. And, you know, if you can't answer them, you know, then I think that whoever can answer the question responds the next few days and copies the board. So we have the benefits since we apparently didn't know, you know?
Mhm. Did we have a lot of extra special called sessions when it was kind of split up like that?
No, we just had really long meetings. It just depended. You know, it's funny though, because you mentioned limiting comment, but I mean, you're talking about 2 meetings versus 4. I mean, we now have 4 meetings when we used to have 2. So in my mind, we have twice as much opportunity for people to make public comment because we have 4 meetings instead of 2. And I think also, you know, it's like we have twice a month for someone to come in and
Excuse me.
make a comment. You know, versus once a month for a regular meeting or once a month for the work session. I mean, to me, I think it's opened things up. I think it has, and it wasn't really for speed. It just, there are occasions where we need to vote on something sooner. I mean, I'm fine with the format. I think it's great. I think it actually gives people more opportunity. I mean, there are 2 meetings stacked together, but they are technically 4 meetings versus 2. I'm fine with the format. I like it a lot. I would consider changing the time, but you know, I'm not stuck on that one. I think I was thinking about the time just because Mike was having some difficulty getting here sometimes, but I think his work situation's changed. So that's not a issue anymore. I know that 5:30 is kind of good for staff, but it's really, the meetings are for us. I mean, to me, I don't think we're limiting public comment at all. I mean, I think we're not limiting it one bit. It's just, I think what we're doing is changing how we respond. And just saying, you know, you can say what you want, you can ask what you want, our comment's going to be, thank you for your comment. But because when I say frequently, 1 comment per person per item, it turns into 3. And then the person that did respect that feels like, well, crap, she just asked 3 questions. Why can't I ask 3 questions, you know? And so I back to Graham's point about equity and equality, I guess is the proper word, but I just think it's more equal for everybody. But I don't see this as limiting public comment whatsoever. I don't think this has anything to do with transparency. That's, you know, and per open records, open meetings, which you mentioned, I mean, the purpose of this meeting and a work session is to allow 5 elected officials to get together in a quorum and have a meeting without violating state law. And, you know, there has to be an agenda and announcement and all that, but really the purpose is for, you know, a quorum of us to get together and talk about stuff and vote. Public comment is part of that. And I think we're just changing the way we engage and just trying to put some parameters, because it does get abused from time to time. It's gotten better, but it still gets abused. And it puts a lot of stress on us. It creates a lot of tension on us because we feel like this obligation to answer, and have the right answer. And it turns into a debate sometimes. And I think it stresses me out sometimes. I think it stresses everybody out. But, and that's not what the purpose is. It's not a debate. It's not a question and answer. And sometimes it feels like an interrogation or some kind of gotcha thing. It's like, no, it shouldn't be any of that. I mean, we want to hear what people have to say, but I think it just changes sort of the dynamic, if you will, to something that's less confrontational and more transparent, more open. But I really like the changes, obviously, that are being proposed, but I really do like the format of stacking meetings 2 and 2. I think that's served us well. A lot of times, like tonight, we don't have a heavy duty agenda, but there are times where we do. And if we stack that on top of what the agenda is 2 weeks later, I mean, we would end up meeting for a while. But I think it gives people more opportunity, personally. But
Well, I think the way I saw it the way Graham kind of laid it out, it seems like it does have a bit of a compromise for both. It adds that work session around the table to have, and then I like the idea of that break in between. So, and it gives the public the opportunity to speak informally with the commissioners and even the staff on what transpired during the regular meeting. And then, you also have the opportunity after the work session to leave a comment. So I see 3 separate distinct public comment areas, right? Or even
it's
4.
really 4. Well,
So I do like the every other Wednesday. It's kind of regular. It's easier to remember, I think, and the public's probably is kind of used to that schedule as it is right now. So I think that will, people are used to that. I don't see any reason to change it. I do like just moving the work session over there with a defined break. I think that will
And we
solve the kind of
and we can do that
stack
now
issue.
if we
Yeah.
wanted to. That's not a big one, but
Yeah.
And I'll just speak up to kind of piggyback on what the mayor said. The format of having our regular meeting and our work session, it takes a minute even for me to wrap my head around the way that it works. And I was talking to someone today and said, oh, it's offset. We do our regular meeting, which is our business before us right now. And then our work session starts and we're working on next week. And so you kind of have to get in that mindset of that. And so, I personally like the way it's set up now. I have 2 teenage daughters that are running me ragged sometimes. And so just, you too, like it's a lot. And, but I know, they know, hey, Dad's got a meeting 5:30 this Wednesday, I'm out, I will be here doing that as long as it takes. So, I kind of like having it consolidated and just, and I just have to keep it straight in my mind of when we start our work session, we're starting our prep for next week. And then I have 2 weeks between these meetings to answer questions, get clarification for myself and learn after that. So I'm kind of in favor, not kind of, I am in favor of keeping our format as it is. I could be amenable to changing the time slightly if that is something that the board wants to entertain. And one last thing, I know Commissioner Stedman mentioned having a spoken public comment at the end of the work session, and I'm advocating for a written public comment at the end of the work session. And I'll just speak for myself. For me, I'm going to get more out of and be able to answer a question better if it is written to me than I am if it's just spoken verbally. And that goes for, that can be written on a slip of paper. It can be written in an email, anything like that. But especially at the end of a long work session, obviously tonight's not that heavy of a schedule, but at the end of a long work session and long meeting, I'm not as sharp as I will be the next morning. So that's my.
Can I respond to
question
you
about-
two for a second? But I'm sorry,
No.
I'll be quick. My point about the work session is, it is a different purpose. And you know, when you have a dedicated work session, you have the time, you know, to go into things more. We've got two different kinds of meetings mixed in the same night. And these work sessions have begun to feel like just a regular meeting. We're sitting up here at the podium, and that's not the only thing. Yeah, I think we're getting into pretty good discussions tonight, but I don't, I know that we always do. I just feel like a dedicated work session gives us the opportunity to go into more depth discussing the issues. And so I think, you know, that to me is preferable. And I don't have a problem with structuring citizen comments as far as 3-minute limit. That seems reasonable in what most people do. But I feel like everybody who has a comment should be able to make that comment. I don't believe we should limit the number of people who comment in any way, shape, or form.
I'm not suggesting we limit the number. Like, I
Okay.
think, if we show up and we have 500 folks in the room and they all want to speak for their 3 minutes, then we'll sit here.
I think the intent is just to reduce the back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that we should be able to do that, you know, by saying thank you, you know, and politely, you know, urge them to.
And I agree with you about the work session, and I mean, that's why I really hope that we can come to a policy where we take a break after the regular meeting and move over there, so it is a separate feeling meeting. Keeping our format the same, but you know, we are gonna leave these chairs and go sit over there.
I appreciate that, but I think having the break will just extend the time we're here. You know, and also the fact that you've got all these things on one night instead of this on one night and this on the other night.
Well, it'll be twice as much on each one.
You think?
Because, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, because we're doing it all. So what do you think, Louis?
Okay. So I rolled up my sleeves and I'm going to talk a little bit, but it's not organized, so I might bounce around a little. So we started with your thoughts prepared, you know, directed in that direction. And then Graham directed his comments in that direction. And little by little over time, we started doing this and looking at each other and having a conversation, and oops, there's people out there. I mean, this is the way it's supposed to work, right? I mean, it is in public and it is out to the members and the folks on the internet. But it's also just trying to communicate and hash through thoughts. Oops, I went too far away from see, there's like so many different aspects of it. So, because we're that offset by, what is it, like half a meet, right? Like really the work session is the beginning of next week's meeting. The business meeting that happens first is the end of last week's work session. So sort of getting through the business meeting to me makes sense to just get through it. Like the way it is, 2 in the same day, twice a month, in my perspective, makes sense. It is reliable, and it's 2 times that the staff is here. It makes sense to me to keep it that way. So from 5:30 till whenever, or 6 till whenever, you know, that's fine. So in terms of the work session, like the way we were discussing now makes sense, back and forth. Folks can be listening and forming opinions. I don't see how it's possible to limit or reduce or eliminate public comment on the work session, because you know, things are going to come up. People are making notes, people are writing down ideas, and it's fair and reasonable to hear the things that came up in the community's mind during our discussions. So regarding responses to those ideas, so there's different things. There are statements. I am in favor, I'm against. There are questions about the specifics that we discussed. And then there's questions about other things not related to the agenda items. So I was thinking about that, and I did a little tiny bit of research. So I listened to 2 DeKalb County meetings and 2 City of Decatur meetings. And, you know, the college professors will say compare and contrast by seeing how others do it, it helps you understand yourself, or at least how you do it. So something from Decatur that they have public comment on the agenda items. And that's before they call them action items, agenda action items. So, so in the business meeting, if we have a Google Fiber contract that we're going to vote on, there's an opportunity for the public to comment on it before we discuss it. Any of those three things at one time. Then we vote and it's done. So, and then later in the meeting, sorry, so theirs is a long agenda and I don't have it all in my head. They have a different thing called petitions, requests and petitions, which are, if you don't mind, Bill, if I could use your example, asking the question about, will there be an opportunity, will there be a time when the zip code is all inclusive? It would be in the form of a statement. I would like the city to consider putting a priority on getting the zip code of all of the city limits to be the same. And then the commissioners have an opportunity at the end of everything, where we have our commissioner comments in the beginning, theirs is at the end. And if a commissioner wants to pick up on that comment, then amongst ourselves, we can say, hey, I think that's important too, to get all of the city. Do we have a way to advocate with the Postal Service to do it? Or if another comment was a question like, when will my road be paved? Even though it's supposed to be a statement, there's going to be questions. And a commissioner can pick that up and say, city manager, we really do want to know when that particular, can you report back next week on when that, that means you don't have to have the answer to the question. The commissioners, we can receive those questions, kind of gauge its importance or see if it resonates, and then bring it up and it can become an agenda item or whatever. I thought that was interesting. So in other words, it's impossible. It's human nature to ask questions. But asking, why is there mud on the road from the construction? That's, I mean, it's a veiled, it could be made in the form of a statement. And if there was rigor and all of us practice that rigor, we could say, I've observed dirt in the road from the construction, and I'm concerned that it's not going to get cleaned up. We can receive it. It can turn into an action item for the city manager to follow up on. So we're sort of asking ourselves to be disciplined in a way and not respond to every question that's not germane to the discussion. We partially are asking the citizens to sort of try to make them as comments rather than questions. But for those questions, what are the opportunities to ask them? That's the final, I'll shut up in a minute. It's perfectly fair to wonder, why is there no turn lane to go onto, Clarendon from North Avondale? Like, it's a fair question. I don't know. Is there a question slot? Is there an email that you can ask questions? Those are some of the things that I hear up here sometimes that are not part of the agenda, but they're fair questions. And I mean, people are going to ask questions. It's not a question any of us can answer. So, and it kind of it's not a waste of time, but it's just not. So that's where sort of I don't know, it's fair for the community to come here so that when we're all done, they have direct access to us or to city manager or someone and just ask those questions. I don't know that those questions have to be part of a recorded, minuted meeting.
Well, I mean, obviously, if they pertain to what we've discussed, I think they should be answered. Like I said, a lot of times people just want clarification. I know that's been my questions a lot, is I thought I heard it this way. I just wanted to make sure that that's what was said. And questions like that, obviously, I think should be answered. So I don't think you should do a blanket, we're not answering questions. But there should be an expectation maybe by the people in the audience that if they're asking a question that's not on the agenda, that they probably would not, receive an answer that evening, but that there would be a follow-up. And I just, I feel like they should be able to, ask these things and comment on these things for the benefit of everybody. I mean, other people may be thinking what they're thinking and, oh, well, yeah, I'd like to know that too. So I just don't think there should be a blanket, we're not going to take questions. But I understand not wanting to get into dialogue and debate. I don't think it should go that far. I think that, answering questions, is part of the process. When we are able. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. Not that I'm ending it. Everybody good up here for a second?
No.
Mr. Manager, what do you need from us for,
Okay, so there is currently a policy on the books that was adopted by the board in 2018. I believe spring of 2018 or around there. That would that dictates how public comment is currently handled. If there is any change to that procedure, then a new policy would have to be adopted. In order to bring that policy to you guys, staff would need direction as to what a majority of the board would like to see in that policy so that we could prepare a draft and then present it to you guys for adoption.
Have we received a copy of that policy?
No, but
Could we?
We can certainly provide the board with a copy of that, the existing policy.
Thank you.
Sure.
okay,
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with clarification and things like that. I think we just disagree on the venue for doing it or the avenue for doing it.
One more thing, I would like to say that the board can provide that direction to staff via email.
well, as
So y'all
usual,
can continue the discussion via email. Of course, that would be discoverable by the public, but it is now a allowable use as a means to continue to communicate about future policy decisions.
okay.
I think like the action item thing sounds good, and I think having that public comment at the end of the work session gives just anything that requires a follow-up from us. I just think, and it can be just like a statement. I would like to, a comment at the end of the work session based on, what they've seen or anything else that you say, I would like the city to look into this, and that's where we use like the comment card. You could read it if you wanted to at the end, but it just gets into like some sort of record that we can.
I get
can
that.
Have a follow-up that's trackable, and so nothing falls through the cracks.
My only sticking point with that is I would, like this is one of our longer work session discussions. And so I would love to see our public comment period at the beginning of our regular meeting be able to include anything and everything that any stakeholder wants to bring up, because let's say, the turn lane's a great example. Somebody not happy with the turn lanes out front. Okay, no problem. Do they want to sit through this entire meeting to bring up the turn lane at we have a 3-hour meeting. The only time I'm able to bring up that turn lane is at the end. I'd rather them be able to come say what they need to say, give it to us, and then they're welcome to stay till the end of the meeting if they like, but then they can duck out. So I get it. I like that, the idea of only having comment on action items, but I know in that period, but I'd rather have all the comment at the outset.
Well, let me just, okay,
Can I ask a quick question?
well, wait a minute.
Okay.
I like the format where we piggyback or leapfrog or whatever you want to call it, where we have 2 meetings a month, regular session, regular meeting first, work session thereafter. I like that format. I want to keep it. I like 5:30. I like the idea of having public comment up front before we vote on things. I like, the idea of, yes, limiting public comment to 3 minutes per speaker, 30 minutes total for that one. That we will not be responding. Just we're here to listen to your comment, but not engage. I do like the idea of a break in between, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I absolutely like the idea of going back down there and sitting down so we can actually see each other and talk. And I'm fine with having public comment at the end of the work session, whether it's written or whether it's just stand up and say something. But again, no engagement necessarily. As far as questions, I think that we should have comment cards where people can write comments and or questions. And then we, agree on a time frame to respond to it. People show up in the meeting, they should be able to ask questions. I just want to make sure that we answer them correctly. And that we're not answering a question and then staff is like, no, we're actually not doing it next Thursday. It's next Wednesday. And then you get into this, well, do you guys know what you're doing? Does the left hand know what the right hand is doing? I think it's better to take a little time and answer those questions correctly. And whether those are published or I'm fine with that too, but that's the basic, I'm good with. And, yeah, Graham.
I can live with that. I like, it's, yeah, I can live with that. I like the format. I'm fine with 5:30. I do that up front. And in that public comment period, speakers can speak as long as they, speakers can speak on any topic that they wish, whether it's on our agenda or not.
Right.
I'm not in favor of limiting that time to 30 minutes. I don't think we should have a limit. I think if, like you said, if residents come and want to speak, but 10 people have already lined up and all 10 of those take all 3 of their minutes, I feel like if you come to this meeting and you have a comment to make, then you get your 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm really not in favor of a time limit for that period. I am in favor of a time limit for each individual speaker, and I'm okay with 3 minutes. I think, I think I've gone over 3 minutes tonight, but I think 3 minutes is okay. Yeah, and I think it's up to the 5 of us to hold each other accountable on not trying not to engage with that commenter. I think things like, thank you for your comment, see me at the break, send me an email, those things are fine, but that's pretty much the 3, the thing is like, and I can live with public comment at the end of the work session on work session items.
Agreed.
As we do it now.
Agreed.
But I would like to have comment cards too, because sometimes, you wouldn't know it from tonight, but I'm not a huge public speaker. Sometimes I just like to write things down, and I think there's other people like me that might want to put it in the box. And, and it may not be something that needs a response tonight. They may just say, hey, here's a suggestion, and put it in the box. So,
Okay.
So yeah, with those little changes, I could be on board with that.
Okay.
So I feel like we're at the point where we need something on paper. So whether it's the 2018 version or someone just takes a stab at a pretend agenda, take this week's agenda and adapt it to but now just talking, it's hard to follow. It's probably hard for some folks to follow. I think we have to visually see it as like what it might look like.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I like where this is going. I think that format's good. You've got multiple avenues for public comment. You also have an opportunity for discussion back and forth during the break. So it gives both kind of ways of speaking with commissioners and staff. And I like that it's giving it a structure.
Okay.
The only other thing I'd add is when we're talking about time limits, like when we adopt this, I would expect us to have those timers on and really hold people. And when your 3 minutes is up, you know, I know we don't use the gavel very often, but when your 3 minutes is up, your 3 minutes is up, you know, and that's that. And the same with the break. We need to define the time of the break. And let's say, for example, if it's 10 minutes, then when 9 minutes rolls around, we're going to flash these lights and we're going to go sit at that table and we're going to get to work at 10 minutes.
I agree. Yep.
Just to keep everything, you know, as formal and as tight as possible.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I do want it, questions and comments at the end of work sessions. I'm fine if they're restricted to the work session. As far as the comment cards, you know, I wouldn't want those to replace the opportunity to speak, but they
No, no.
could be an addition if people feel like they need them. You know, I would certainly, you know, interested in moving the work session. I mean, I think a separate night would be a good thing, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, certainly trying that and seeing if it does improve our ability to communicate about the issues, I think is a positive step forward. So I do have a question about if we have citizens' comments at the beginning of the meeting, will we discontinue the comments on action items?
On agenda items, on
Mhm.
voting items, yes.
We will
So-
discontinue that.
Right. So any comment about anything we're going to vote on would be made up front,
So there'd be.
which actually makes sense because, you know, I mean, the way we do it now, I think is fine. But if you think about it, I make a motion, you make a second, we talk about it, then we ask for public comment. It's like, well, we've
Already made a motion.
well, and I mean, you can, you know, throw out a motion and not vote. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think allowing folks to say, you know, okay, about this Google thing, let me tell you what I think before we even make the motion. I think that's, to me, that's more logical. It's more,
I agree.
and to be honest, that's how I've seen a lot of other places do it. And I think that's the reason why. Yeah. How about this? So, Mr. Manager, do you think you've got enough to put together some kind of, here's the game plan?
Yes. Yes,
I-
I do.
And,
Oh, you want me to recite it? I can do that. First thing is, in addition to the terms proposed for the new draft policy, I will also attach for you the old policy of the 2018.
Thank
So
you.
you all have that
Okay.
document.
yes,
Then, the new draft policy will include provisions for, general public comment prior to action items. Limited to 3 minutes per commenter, but no total time limit.
Okay.
Then, a break of 10 minutes.
Yep.
In between the regular meeting and work session. Then the work session will commence at the table in a round form. With another public comment period to conclude at the end of the work session. And with the potential addition of comment cards so that if persons who do not wish to speak at the time at the conclusion of the work session can provide a written comment that y'all will address at a later time. The other provision being that public comment during the work session be limited to items that appear on the work session agenda, whereas comment on the regular meeting is for anything that the commenter wishes to speak about. I think I got it.
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, very sorry, everybody.
Oh,
This is probably a question for us. How do you guys feel about asking folks to come to the podium as opposed to having to raise their hand and be called on?
I think
I
think from our perspective, from a, you know, logistical perspective, that is a good move because, voice volume is disparate.
Right.
So if, equity is the theme that we're trying to get here, then everybody doing the exact same thing is preferred.
Yeah.
I just want a little discretion if someone's infirm, if someone, doesn't
course.
move well, if whatever, that,
Yeah.
they don't have to come up here. We're going to ask them to, but it's a small room. We can usually hear folks or hand them a mic if we need to, or relay the message or whatever, but just a little bit of discretion on that one. Because some folks maybe just, I don't know, would prefer to just sit there and raise their hand. They don't want to approach a podium. I mean, I can understand that. It's like, but anyway, okay.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to do exactly what I would be doing if I was sitting out there. So after hearing it, I have a couple final thoughts.
Okay.
The 10-minute break, like, is it going to be recorded? Is this going to continue going? Are the mics going to pick it up? You know what I mean?
No, but I mean, well, we don't have to turn them off. I mean, but the point is, A, give people a break. B, if someone wants to approach you for a conversation, they're able to do that. But I don't think that needs to be broadcast. There may be 10 conversations going on, or at least 5, or could be, or, so.
But we will have mics at the table
Yeah.
and Zoom will cover it.
Right.
Okay.
We'll have to adjust some of that.
Yeah, we can
Because we're
handle
not quite ready for that. I mean, frankly, I'd like to start meeting at the table. We can do that right now if we want to, like, clear out, guys, but I think I didn't think about the AV part of it. And, but I would like to do that next meeting
Okay.
if we can.
If we can.
I've got to run to the restroom. I'm saying.
See, we need a break.
Do the break.
So
Right.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I think the real meat or the real discussion, the real public comment should theoretically be based on the working meeting. The business meeting, it's mostly done unless something changes prior to that, to the meeting. So I don't like, I'm having trouble understanding. Everybody moves over there. The cameras have to point over there. Just the staff has to move out of the way. It's just, I don't know.
I don't
That
think it's
part
that big
just,
a deal.
I love the idea of it, but I'm just thinking practically, all these papers have to, whatever. That's the part. I know
We've
it
got 10 minutes to
seems,
do it,
it seems odd, but I mean, again, I'm just,
Well, I mean, for years we did, meet down there, and I agree, it did change somewhat the tenor of the conversation because, now we're up here and it's like, it seems a little odd, it is better down there. And
Mhm.
I don't really think that was any kind of like major conscious decision. We just kind of started doing it, sitting up here for the work session.
Mhm.
I can't remember if I can't remember. I mean, it just seemed like we just started kind of hanging out up here for the whole thing. And that's just kind of how we started doing it. But it was that was not a policy decision. That was just sort of happened. And I don't even remember how.
Happened as a process of combining the meetings.
Probably, but I think initially we did walk back down there. Even that we started up here, we ended down there, but I can't totally remember, but I'm fine with that. So, all right.
I'm good.
All good?
Yeah.
Everybody good? Good as can be. Okay. Public comment. Kathy. Oh,
Thank you.
I'll be happy to file a comment card if necessary, and I apologize if this is off the wall. I am shocked that the issue of water hasn't come up at either of these meetings. Oh, I know that our city does not run our water department,
right.
but is there ever, do we have a sense of, can we get some explanations from the county about how, why, when this happens? Is there anything? Because it seems to be very off the wall when it happens. And when it happens, it's like no water. I live on Majestic, and I don't know if it seems to me that that part of Lake Shore, Majestic, Wynn, all back in there. Water has been our fate, you know, it's just the thing that, so I don't know if it needs to be addressed with the county and get some other thing. I know you all have tried to deal with this because there were daily updates coming from the city, but they were more around encouraging us to please call the county, which we've done, but we don't seem to understand why this keeps happening.
Well, I do want the manager to address that because that's a kind of his territory. But I do want to say one thing. They were on it immediately
Yes.
and they've been dinging them every day. I may be wrong, but initially, I hope the answer's different, but initially the county wasn't sure what was the problem. They really didn't know.
Yeah.
Is it the water tower? Is it a pump? Is it this? Is it a broken line? They weren't totally sure. I mean, it's a big system and they're doing a lot of work on it and with a lot of different contractors. But I do know that Patrick and company got on top of them immediately. And so our response on your behalf was immediate and forceful. And I mean professional, but it's like, guys, Wild Heaven can't make beer because they ain't got no water. You know, it's kind of an essential ingredient. So I just want to commend staff because they were on it. And you know, you can yell at people all they want, but if they don't know what the problem is, that's not really going to help. But Mr. Manager, could you please address some of that?
Yes. And pardon, I have to go after this. Couple things. One, there have been intermittent pressure issues since the end of 2025 that seemingly have no explanation attached to. We had been made aware of those and had informed the county that several pockets of the city had been experiencing these pressure fluctuations. We then had a commercial property owner who was experiencing these issues more than surrounding properties conduct some diligence of their own to find out whether or not these pressure issues were a result of plumbing issues on their end, or if they could determine it was a result of issues on the utilities end or the DeKalb County watershed. That was essentially 12 days. That was 12 days ago when we received this email from that commercial property owner discussing the diligence they undertook to try and find out what was going on. What they determined from their diligence was that this seemed to be a problem on the utilities end and not private. So we informed the county that this property owner had gone through these links and determined that, okay, we've got a situation that is coming from you guys and we need to figure out the solution. And you know, they kind of threw their hands up, to be quite honest. And then the following Sunday evening, a water line broke on Columbia Drive. And that exacerbated the previously existing pressure condition to the point where most of our commercial properties had little to no water pressure, and some areas of our residential properties also suffered the same thing. That was pretty quickly repaired. They had repaired that line within 12 hours. And then the normal poor condition, if you will, the intermittent pressure issue persisted after they fixed that. So we were able to determine from that the water line that broke, or potentially any leak emanating from that segment of the water line potentially causing these pressure issues, was not the problem. So we met the county watershed operations team on site here that last Tuesday morning to come up with a game plan to try and figure out, well, what the heck is the problem that's causing our pressure. So we did I say we, but the county performed a check of each of the valves at the tie-in locations where they just installed the new water line on 278 to see if any one of those valves was potentially inadvertently shut or reduced, therefore causing pressure issues. Well, we determined that that was not the case. So the prevailing theory right now, and the county is still working to figure this out. To their credit, I want to give them credit. They are on it and they are working to try and figure it out. Is that there is a leak somewhere outside of the city's boundaries that is affecting pressure because it's affecting the way our tank that feeds our water, our water line is dispersing water. And the reason why Avondale and Decatur are experiencing pressure pressure changes is due to our elevation in relation to the tank. So we are at a higher elevation in relation to the tank as other customers who are being supplied by the tank, and therefore we feel it most. But the issue remains, where's the leak in the system that's causing this in the first place? And they don't have an answer to that yet, but they are working, very, very diligently to try and figure that out. The reason why we sent out updates the way we did is because there are legal liabilities for us that we can't speak on behalf of the utility. Because it's their infrastructure, and we don't want to say anything that is incorrect or presents liability for them. And then two, in order for the county to have the best information possible, to best be able to determine the source of the problem, the more reports of the issue they get from specific address locations, the better information they'll have to be able to solve the problem. So that's why we were encouraging anybody who is experiencing these pressure issues to not only contact the county about it, but to also let us know about it so that we could maintain a separate record to give to the county if the county, was having any issues of gathering that information themselves. So it's kind of like a redundant fail-safe. And that's how we have to proceed with water issues. Unfortunately, because of the size and the age of the county's water system, this is not going to be a quick fix. And I'm sure, unfortunately, property owners in our community and in, all the communities within DeKalb County are going to continue to experience, issues with outages, pressure differences, and so forth, because the infrastructure is so old that it breaks faster than they can replace it.
Okay, name and address for Karina. So she has it,
Julie Martinez, 3223 Majestic, so.
thank you,
Thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome to.
Kathy.
Maybe I am too decrepit to come up here. Thank you. It was a great discussion tonight. This is the best discussion I've heard from this group in a long time. I sent y'all an email. I have been coming to these meetings for 30 years. I have seen every sort of gyration of this. I don't remember after we went to the combined meetings and y'all sit at this table. I think you tried it once and it was too much moving in too short a time, and it was a lot of logistics. And getting on that point, I just want to reiterate again, it was brought up by one of the members, I think, please have the sound over there so that people in the audience, because I go to the DDA meetings and I go to the zoning board meetings, and people sit around the table, and you can be sitting like where these gentlemen are, and you can't hear. So please make sure that that's it.
Yep.
I have a suggestion for the comment cards. I would say public comments can be made at both issues. If you have questions, make them question cards. Put your questions on a card, and then it's up to y'all to make sure those questions are responded to. Because a lot of times when we ask questions at these meetings, they are not responded to. So maybe having it in writing will be able to facilitate the answers. I don't quite question cards. Anyway, thank you. Those are my two comments on it.
Okay.
I do wish that we would meet later. That is the number one complaint I hear from the residents, is that they just cannot get here at 5:30. It's huge. If you're sitting around the pool, people say, I would love to come, but I gotta get home and feed the dog, feed the kids, and then come. Our participation was much better as far as people being in the audience when we met late. And that's from years of experience. It's just, if we could, I know it's hard on the staff. I get it. I've been on that side too. But I think if you're looking for neighborhood participation, residential citizens, people you represent, that might encourage it. Try it.
Okay. Thank you. All right, online. Any questions online? Okay, Bill?
Bill Hover, 89 Berkeley Road. Sorry I didn't come up earlier. But one thing that came to my mind, and maybe it would be a benefit to both you at behind the wall and the audience, would be to at the beginning of every meeting actually lay out the rules for public comment, so that people understand at every meeting, this is the way public comment is going to be run. I do would like to reiterate, I support your comment regarding the question cards, comments that if they're going to be a question, they be put on cards in order to facilitate actually getting answers, because I think that's an important outcome of questions being asked, is actually getting a response, and that anything else would just be considered more informal, and you might get something and you might not. But I applaud you looking into this and trying to make the comment period more effective and efficient. I've always tried to limit my comments to whatever the time period is, and so I guess I say if I'm playing by the rules, I would appreciate others playing by the rules as well. So thank you.
Great point. No. To that point, and I meant to bring this up, my suggestion would be that we have the rules written and it's attached to every agenda. That's a lot of paper, I know, sorry trees. But have it attached to either printed on the back or attached to every one. So when you pick up that agenda, it's like, here we go, but it's written. So that's my suggestion. What do you think of that?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
Okay, so then B, can we ask staff to get us a draft of that? And I know there's some legal considerations that need to be.
Well, we would do that after
Adopted.
policy.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's easy to do, not a problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
but at some point, a draft of that as well, so we can look at that and deal with that. Okay, Jan.
I don't have much. Jan Hoffer, 89 Berkeley. I just want to say that I will miss not being able to make comments after an action item in the regular meeting. Because I always felt like at that last moment, I was really heard. Prior to the ultimate decision being made. If I talk at the beginning of a meeting, it's not interwoven with one particular item that is being discussed or considered. I know that's a conundrum because the decorum of our public during meetings in the last 2 years has been pretty bad. A lot of people have gone on and on, they've debated, they've stalled meetings, and I'm pretty frustrated with that situation. So I know that what you're doing probably needs to be done, but I will certainly miss not feeling like I'm actually being heard or that I've made a difference.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Is anyone hiding around the corner? Henry's Corner? So, any comments for remaining? Going once, going twice?
I say I like the question card concept.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty
No, I
good
think that,
idea.
I think
Instead
that's
of
good.
calling it a comment card, define it.
Yeah.
as a
Or you
question
could
card.
have
Well,
a
and
card with a statement and then you could put,
It's just-
like, could be a checkbox requesting follow back or something.
Oh, that's good.
You know,
Good
it's
idea.
just like a
But-
checkbox here if you request board or staff a response.
Good
you know,
And just
something like
phone
that.
number or email or address or some means of getting back to that person.
Yeah.
I think it would also be good to have the board copied on the response so that we, you know, because obviously we didn't have the answer when we were here, so it would be to our benefit too.
Yep.
Well, the
Yep.
question cards, I like it because we could just take an opportunity, the mayor can just go through the ones that can get answers. Why is it 30030 and not 3002? And it's done. It doesn't require a follow-up or feedback. The one that is like requires some thought, that can be an
Yeah.
email response.
Yeah.
And my example from Decatur, the mayor reads a very short paragraph. It's describing what the comment period, we're now taking public comment. Each comment is 3 minutes for a very short script.
Sure. Okay. All right. All good?
Okay.
Anything?
I think we're clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, that concludes everything. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. Thank you for listening online. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That was Lyda. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Graham. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks again, folks. All right. Rock and roll. See ya.
So I rambled there, but.
Not exciting thing.